We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. Welcome again to Great Lives on the Rise. I am the host and creator, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are a movement. We're not just a podcast. You see, I have my wonderful shirt on here, and today we have the lovely Juliette, who is going to invite you in on our little chat with Juliette Karaman. And she's a specialist in embodied intimacy and touch that lands. Okay, that's her moniker. So she's the creator of Touch-Based Rapid Release, Rewire and Restore, and The Beginning. Okay. These are all trademarks. Juliette Karaman, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Juliette Karaman is a specialist in embodied intimacy and touch that lands within you, okay? She shows you how to really connect with your body and not have it be detached from you, because a lot of people, particularly those of us who are 50 plus, sometimes we're not allowed to be in touch with our bodies in an intimate way. With over 27 years of experience, first as a special educational needs coordinator, and now as a global mentor, she helps women, men, and couples reconnect with their bodies, their pleasure, and each other. She's the creator of Touch-Based, a living modality and way of being rooted in precision, presence, and deep attunement. Her work supports the repair of sexual trauma and restores trust, emotional clarity, and safety and connection. She doesn't sell pleasure. She restores your ability to feel it through touch that lands. She is also the host of Scrumptious Woman Podcast, ranked in the top 2.5% globally. She leads private intensives and group experiences and retreats around the world. Her podcast topic is the Scrumptious Woman Podcast. Wow, we're in for a treat today. Welcome, Juliette. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so
Hello,
honored to
Jamila.
have
Thank
you.
you for having me. I
Yeah,
brought my t-shirt.
definitely.
It's nice and soft.
Yes,
My daughter's got her eye on it to sleep in it. She's like, oh, mommy, that's nice and soft.
yeah. Of course. I would love for her to have that as a gift. I think your topic is so very important, particularly because people who are 50 plus, mostly the women, men, have not had an issue. Well, they've had an issue with intimacy, but in terms of their sexuality, a lot of the men, have jumped in it at an early age. But women were taught certain kinds of mores and do's and don'ts. A good girl does
I
these
think we've
things.
all been taught. Actually, a lot of the men that I work with, they've been taught
Oh,
not to be a sissy or not to be, don't be like your sister. So the thing is, we very often assume that men are taught something and they're okay with sexuality. And a lot of men actually aren't. But the funny thing is
okay.
also, you're in the States. I'm,
Yeah.
but I live in the UK. But, religion plays a role, the way that you've been taught from your parents.
Yes.
Like all these things bring such a big role in, like, what were you taught about sexuality? What were you taught about sensuality, about opening your emotions, about actually even just physical touch? And I'm not talking erotic touch, I'm like touching your hand. What were
Yes.
you taught about that? It was interesting. I was with a couple the other day, and I pulled one of my cards. I have these decks of cards that give a prompt. So this
Mm-hmm.
prompt
Mm-hmm.
that I gave him is, tell me what you were taught about sex. Think about your society, your parents, religion, etc., etc. And what came up was really incredible for this couple. They'd been married
Wow.
27 years, and they actually didn't realize that he'd been brought up a certain way. His mother used to walk around naked, was quite open about it. But
Mm.
then, yeah, when he would do that, he'd get shamed by it. And she was
Mm.
brought up a little bit more conservative, like that, don't show yourself, this, that. So when
Yeah.
we started doing that prompt, and I tell them to go back and forth for about 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
so much arose, and they're like, oh my God, after 27 years, we didn't even know this about each other. And
Wow.
the thing is, we like, even if I ask you, it's like, who did you have as a role model who was over 50 and was really comfortable in their bodies and their sexuality, not very promiscuous, but just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like was comfortable? Did you have someone like that growing up? Because I remember
No,
being
no,
on.
not in my neighborhood. I think when I was growing up, it was like people were exploring different kinds of values and discarding them, but not in my neighborhood because I grew up in a neighborhood that was wasn't so much conservative, but it was Christian based,
Yeah.
fundament, and not fundamental Christian, but just a historical Christian base, and there were certain things that you just didn't talk about and you didn't explore.
But this is it, right? We don't
Yeah.
talk about it. It's the most natural thing in the world. We have a body,
Yes.
right? Yeah, the way to have pleasure. And I've been in Facebook and Instagram jail so much for talking about pleasure. That's why I call it scrumptiousness now, because it sounds good and it sounds
Yeah.
yummy. So instead of calling it pleasure, I call it scrumptiousness, that chi, that orgasm, that life force that lives through us, that courses through us, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but like what have we been taught about it, that pleasure is bad, or
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we get all these, there are so many mixed signals. And then if you think about like the kids of today, they're scrolling on Instagram and on TikTok and on whatever platform they're on, and they see these incredible looking women and men, and they just think that they have to look like that, they have to
Mm-hmm.
perform like that. And that's where the disconnect becomes, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
can only do that for a little while. So this is where I really see, and I love the work that you do, is the generational trauma. Where have
Mm-hmm.
we inherited things from our parents that we didn't even realize, or from our grandparents, and especially
Yes. Yeah.
very much where you are situated in the world as well, right?
It's definitely true. But I think that having women, because like during the 60s and 70s, there were just polar extremes. Either people were conservative or they just let it all out. Like the iconic image that comes to mind is the Woodstock image. And I
Oh,
was
of course,
like,
like the whole flower power,
yeah, yeah,
free love, and
exactly, exactly. So you had that extreme, and then you had the people who were brought up in the church or whatever their religious background is or was. They had that. They didn't have the middle ground that you're providing. So there was a middle ground. And I'm really pleased that you're providing that for people today so they can know that you don't have to go to either extreme. And I think some of us were confused. It was like, okay, I don't want to be a flower child, just laying in the grass with any and everybody who comes along. But then I don't desire to have those sexual hang-ups of our parents and grandparents. So your program, I think it's definitely much needed because you're giving women also who are 50 plus permission to be free. And a lot of them would like to be, they just don't know how.
And that's the thing, right? Because so often we get to our 50s and we've ticked the boxes, right?
Yes,
We've gone to university, we've finished high school, university, whatever it is, maybe got married, had our kids, had our first jobs, etc., etc., etc. So tick, 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 tick. It
yes,
gets to like end 40s, 50s, and all of a sudden it's like the kids may be leaving, or those things aren't that important anymore. And this is where people
yes,
talk about like we go through a midlife crisis. All of a sudden it's like, what are we going to do with the rest of our lives?
right.
Which for men, I mean, if we do very stereotype, they buy, Harley Davidson or buy a cool car or get,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
the younger
mm-hmm.
girls that all of a sudden they're interested in. And I'm being very stereotypical here. This is not how everyone is. And for women, often that's when we become a bit more introspective and we're like, oh, do I want to stay with this person for the rest of my life?
Right, right.
Am I even am I getting any touch? Am I touching myself? Most people, when they get to this point and when they reach me, they're like, I just don't know what I want anymore. I
Mm-hmm,
don't know what it's like to be touched. And
mm-hmm,
I don't just mean physical or erotic touch, but it's also spiritual touch. How are you being touched
mm-hmm,
spiritually? Like meditations, what
mm-hmm.
are lighting you up? Like is the sunlight on your shoulders? Can you actually enjoy that? We're
Right,
in such a fast life.
right.
Emotionally, how are we being touched, right? So it's all this amalgamation of things of basically also how we may have experienced some kind of trauma. Someone may have looked
Mm-hmm.
at us in a certain way or said something to us which was too fast for our psyche and our body um, to process. So that
Mm-hmm.
the remainder, that's what's keeping us often looped in like either thoughts or fear or something. And when we don't
Yeah.
recognize that, it's like, oh, that's because this person did this to me and I
Mm,
had it mean whatever. So we don't realize it's like, oh, and then there are the ways that we actually get touched, like
yeah.
physically touched. It's like some people like much more off the body touch, like a little bit of space. And
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, but my husband we always do things a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. If
Mm-hmm.
if we'd have an A to Z and it would always work, or a 10-step plan, let me touch you here on the neck. I'm gonna then come and nuzzle you on your earlobe. It's gonna get all hot and juicy. We're gonna get, have a
Yeah.
beautiful touchy time, sexy time, and then we're done. That's what most
Yeah.
people would love, but it doesn't work like that because we have hormones.
Yeah.
We have emotions, then there are all these like things that are going on in our lives. We may be going through stuff at work.
Mm-hmm.
People recognize that all of this actually has a really big influence on how you're being touched. Like with you, with your aromatherapy, you said they're
Yeah.
all natural, right? We don't recognize that candles and other things and sprays that we have around the house, how that can actually affect how we feel, how we smell, how we touch.
Yes.
So yeah,
That,
so I love it. There's so many different things. And of course, I'm a hypnotherapist, an EMDR therapist, trauma therapist. I've done all the research and just recognizing that to come back to home, to come back to ourselves, we have to feel safe.
yes. I think that's
That's
very, very important.
that's why I discovered through years of working with people is that that's what I call touch base. It's the thumb and the pointer finger, putting them together really slowly, recognizing where there might be some tension in your body and just putting attention on that. So letting the whole monkey mind just fall away.
Mm-hmm.
Put attention on your fingers and what it feels like to be able to receive that touch from yourself, from your other finger. And even if we
Wow.
do that a minute a day, twice a day, and everyone's got 2 minutes a day somewhere, we come out of the like fear-based and monkey mind of what's happening.
Mm. Wow, that's really powerful. But you say this is really because what you're doing, you're using kinesthetic
I
motion,
kinesthetic
having people deal
tantra.
with
Yeah.
touch. And then in my work with women primarily, I have them hug themselves because they have gotten so used to external stimuli, someone hugging them, making them feel good. I said, you don't know how you feel to someone else because you've never hugged yourself. So hug
Mm.
yourself, like touch your arms and go up to your shoulders and just hug and love on you. And that's the first time when I've told people to do that, that they've ever done that because they've been programmed to think that that's corny, weird, or whatever. I said, well, if you think it's weird for you to touch you, why is it so um, accepting for someone else to touch you? Because you're going to be with your body all of your life. And if you don't have a relationship like you so expertly teach and said, how do you expect someone else to honor you? Because you're sending a message out to the universe that you're not worthy to be held in a sensual and non-sensual way. So I think that's really, really important. I like the pointed finger thing. I like that.
Well, it's some of the somatic experiencing, right? Like what you're saying, the touch, like we have the heart hug, like put your right hand under your left armpit and then move your other arm around over it and start caressing your
Mm.
other arm. And also that really helps because you start feeling your heartbeat. Your heart rate will go down.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden you notice that your breath may start to lengthen a little bit, the somatics of it, and also to receive how warm is your touch actually. And
Yeah.
it's like, and that's
Yeah.
also it's really
I
grounding.
love that.
Like the butterfly, yeah, this hooking your thumbs and then patting your chest.
Mm.
Pitter patter, and it's all these things that we can do to really have our nervous system come back to homeostasis. When we're often very aroused or very, very in a fearful state, our heart rate is going quickly. We're breathing really quickly. We come
Mm-hmm.
out of our bodies, and
Mm-hmm. I
people
like
that
that.
are very energetic, yeah, they don't even recognize that they actually live in their body and they're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like in their heads. And first time when people said that, I was like, come back to your body. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm in my body. And they're like, can
Right.
you feel yourself? I'm like, yeah. And then it actually took some really deep work. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
can I really track the breath and notice
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in which part of my body? And we're
Mm-hmm.
not taught this, and I think this is one of the things that would be really good for kids also to start learning. Is like, oh, I feel expansion in my chest. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of soft. It's maybe buttery. Oh, it's a bit edgy on the sides, a bit jittery. Oh, like that feels a bit tight. Because oftentimes we'll say what we're feeling, body sensations will say that they're emotions. It's like, oh, I'm sad. I'm like, okay, so what does sad feel like in your body? Because I understand what sad is like for me. What
Mm-hmm.
does it feel like for you in your body? And because I used to teach kids that were on the spectrum, that was really important to have them explain what an emotion felt like for them in their body. And oftentimes that was the first time that they really started to get some appropriate perception, some perception about their body, about what was going on inside their body. And it's a great skill to have.
Yeah, I love that. And how do you deal, because you had mentioned this earlier, about how do you deal with people who have experienced trauma? and getting them to the safe place where they can allow themselves to first have a connection, a body connection from themselves, and then allow their partner to connect with them sensually and sexually. Because I had a speaker on a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about how she had been molested and raped, and she felt really traumatized by that. And in her first marriage, she wasn't able to really express herself sensually or sexually because of that. And she
Mm-hmm.
also talked about the fact that when her sons were young, she didn't have a real connection with them because she saw them as potential abusers. That's how she was processing it, because the relationship that she had had with men had not been healthy. So any male, and
Right. And see how that continues, that even with
yeah,
her sons.
yeah. And she's working on it now. And she expressed this to her sons because she was able to get in touch with that. But she said throughout their childhood, there was a disconnect
Mhm.
because of that trauma.
And oftentimes, I mean, I work with a lot of trauma, and oftentimes we may not even know that we have trauma on board.
Yeah.
An uncle may have touched us, near a breast, and we brushed it off, but the
Hmm.
body grips, and that memory can just set something off in the body so that we actually like we freeze. And
Yes.
to our partner, that might seem that we're not interested or like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Right. And even for me, because I was raped, I was date raped when I was
Oh,
18, and I was abused by my brother and by my uncle when I was really young. And
oh, I'm sorry.
I remember going to my mother saying, "Hey, mom, Uncle's it feels really uncomfortable because every time I walk past him, and I must have been 6, he grabs me on in the butt and pulls me close, and it just feels really uncomfortable." And my mother said, "Well, that's just what uncles do." So
Really?
those were the confusing things that I got as a child. She would walk around quite flaunting, etc. But then, she said, "Well, this is what uncles do," and I was like. So it was weird. Then when I was 18, I was date raped by 5 guys. I buried it. My
Mhm.
psyche buried it. I never spoke
Oh,
to this other woman that she and I went to this party together, and we both escaped, and we walked back to town in Spain, and we saw each other
oh,
probably twice after that and then never spoke again. But what happens is that we somehow take on that shame. It
yeah.
wasn't until 20 years later that I was physically, someone was working on my back, and I physically felt a release. So the
Mm,
subconscious is an incredible thing, right? It keeps us safe. So that means sometimes burying the stuff that you cannot handle yet.
yeah.
Having your children, having everything else in between. But this at this point, my body started shaking and I started remembering everything, started wailing, crying. The people that I was with in this workshop were very trauma aware. Um, and that then got me on this whole path. So a lot of times we don't know that we are carrying things. Most of the people that I work with have had, I don't know, an elder, someone in their family, and oftentimes it is someone in the family that abuses their child sexually, essentially, or even just looks at them. It doesn't have to be actual physical trauma for us
Hmm.
to feel it in our bodies.
Hmm.
So that's where I created this touch base, this kinesthetic anchor, so that once we start doing that once, twice, 3 times a day, it rewires that part of the brain where we can actually start to feel safe in ourselves again. And we start to notice 4 elements of a memory. There's an
Hmm.
image always, there's a thought, there's a body sensation, and there's an emotion. So anything that happened to you, if you can actually feel, experience those four elements again, you can move through it. So that's the duplication. That's part of my rapid release rewire restore method. But people are like, well, why would I want to feel that again? It's like
Right.
because you only feel things, feel emotions and experiences for less than a minute. And then you move through that. So like people that are very depressed or that are very full for fearful, you get them to feel it and you get them to actually say, okay, so what are you seeing?
Mm-hmm.
What emotion are you feeling? What's the body sensation that comes up and what are you thinking? And you can also you use all your senses, right? You can say what are you
Mm-hmm.
hearing, what are you seeing, what are you smelling? So really go into that experience. And once you go through that, it actually gets much less.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't realized that I actually learned this when I moved to Texas. I'm from Holland. I moved to Texas when I was 12. And I went to this camp in the Big Bend and with my biology teacher, and I was terrified of spiders. And he put me right next to tarantulas. I mean, it's full of tarantulas there, scary as anything. And he put my hand out and he put a massive tarantula on it. And like, he's like, okay, what do you see? I'm like, look at this. It's horrid. It's got horrible hairy legs. It's like so scary. I'm like, great. So seeing emotions, like what's happening in your body? Like, I can't breathe, want to get out of here, want to run. So all of these, right? So that's the four things. And then he's like, okay, take a breath, look at it again. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like it's hairy. It's still I'm still pretty scared, you know. It's not comfortable, but I can sit here and watch it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Right. So your brain then starts to see, I'm like, oh, the tightness is a little bit less. The
Mm-hmm.
third time I took a breath, I'm like, oh, look at those. Look at those legs. They're really furry and they're hairy. They're kind of cool. So you see that how you go through that. And that was probably 3 minutes. I sat with it. And then afterward, I'm like, okay, I don't like it, but I'm not terrified anymore.
Mm-hmm. So he was able to, you had like an immersion experience where he put you in the actual situation with the tarantula and then had to become, uh, for lack of a better word, desensitized to the
Yeah.
appearance of it. It wasn't that you came away saying, "Oh, I want a baby tarantula to raise." No,
I
but
did. I said to my mom, like, Mom, can we get some? She's like,
oh,
you used to make me go on a ladder with a broom to make sure that those spiders were out of the house. But it's interesting because I hadn't recognized that I already did this. It's called duplication, and a lot of psychologists have talked about this, that I did this from an early age on, and all through life. I have a fear of heights. My brother took me parachute jumping, all these kind of things. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that I did this. So
mm,
that's the beauty of being able to feel
yeah,
your sensations, to experience it, to feel the emotions, to really go through it and not to numb yourself.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because I think if you numb yourself with a with a physical item, then you start numbing yourself emotionally and mentally as well. And so it's layered. The
Well,
physical has you then, because these are defense mechanisms too to keep you from splitting with reality. So you pull back. And in your program, which you just expressed, I think it's really good because it's like an immersion. You put the person in the most feared experience and then have the person breathe through it to see, to understand that it's not as fearful as they had originally thought. So,
completely. I mean, I doubt that I would put people with spiders at this moment when they come to me as a hypnotherapist saying, I'm terrified. But I take them through kind of like in their mind, right? I take them through a meditation. We go through it. I take them through this touch base kinesthetic anchor when they start feeling safe again. So anytime
Yeah.
that they then start feeling a little bit stressed, they just touch their finger again. And it's like, oh, yeah, my body now remembers what it feels like to feel safe. So coming back to your lady who's had this trauma, you know, for her to really start recognizing where does she feel safe? What are some of the ways that she can bring her body back and her psyche back to a place of safety? What can her husband, what can her children do to help her feel safe? What are
Hmm.
some of the, like maybe the words that she can use, like, you know, like the stoplight systems, like, oh shit, I'm at orange, you know, whoop. You know, it's like, hey, you know, pause for a moment because I can feel myself getting triggered that
Hmm.
there's something going on, and yeah, just back off, because also it's like if we have been sexually abused, it's oftentimes by someone that's bigger than us.
Yeah.
So, you know, that fear also, it's like, you know, this like hands out is like, okay, don't come any closer to me because my body is going into a fear response.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I think this is really, really important. And we're talking about people who are 50 plus because of all the social stigma said we were fed when we were younger. And I think it's really, really important for people to deal with body therapies and uh, yeah, body connections and body therapies because we have been so disconnected. And either, I know women who are 50 plus say you were either given permission to be very, what can I say, very holy, very pure, or the other extreme, like I said, with the flower power, children, whatever, if women were loose, who, or girls, because they're now women and they're over 50, but if they were loose, they were promiscuous and they had all these kinds of stigmas attached to them. So they, what you're now doing, like I said earlier, is giving people permission to have that middle ground because we were not given that kind of permission. And it was, I think it was societal, it was by design, because if women were allowed to be as free as most men were given permission to be free, then there would not be the power uh, control that some males have in terms of women, because they would be as free as the men in terms of exploring their sexuality and sensuality. And like you said, nowadays they have these different titles for women and men. You know, you can have uh, poly relationships. You can have there's something called trifecta, something like that, relationships. So younger people are given permission, so to speak, to
Mm-hmm.
explore their sexuality in a different way.
Triple, yes.
Yeah,
A 3-7, a triple, and where you know, we have different. There are all kinds of ways that people can interconnect. If it's a couple, if it's the same sex, if it's different sex, if there's a third person, if it's poly, if it's open, if it's not open. I mean, I've played around with everything in my clients and have helped support everyone with it. And I do see that culturally, a lot of things comes in there. I mean, I work with
yeah.
a lot of clients in the Middle East. I work with a lot of Americans, some Europeans, and Australians and Canadians. And then, of course, there's the religion bit, and then there's the trauma bit. And it's like, oh, but honestly, don't we all want to connect? And don't we all want to be touched by life? Don't we all want to
Mhm.
leave life saying like I've lived a good life. I've loved deeply. I've actually had some fun, some pleasure. I've loved this body, although it might have been giving me some aches and pains. But what I notice is a lot of people, like you say, in their 50s, they come to this point where like, yeah, because they're not being touched or they're not experiencing life in the way that they want, disease comes in.
Mhm.
Right? And that's oftentimes it's yeah, I think trauma does a lot for disease, obviously, and healthy eating and all of this as well. But also it's what have we been taught about our bodies?
Mhm.
Do we have to cover up? What have we been taught about just actually looking in the mirror and seeing your wiggly arms and yet being grateful for them?
Mhm.
Because so many women just look at themselves and they push themselves in like the tightest jeans and a little corsets, the shapewear, and they're like, yeah, if I look at my body and if I think about, oh my God, I've had 4 children in under 3 years' time. I was twice
Mhm.
my size. I ballooned out to like a beached whale. And all the exercise and the diet and the pills and the this and the that I've done, I'm like, wow, I've really abused you.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
can do some mirror work and look at your body and start appreciating, this body bore me 4 children, 4 miscarriages, lots of
Mhm.
joy. Look at these legs that have walked all the continents of the world, that have these hands that have helped my dying parents and loved ones.
Mhm.
You start really looking at your body in that kind of touch. It's like, oh my God, I have been touched by so much in my life because
Yeah.
of this incredible body. That's when you start treating it with a bit more reverence. And
Mhm.
that's when you start thinking, it's like, oh, how do I want to be touched? Do I want really slow? Can I just have you look at me without touching me? Can we eye gaze? Can you ask me a question? And is that the intimate way of connecting for us today?
Mhm. I love that. I love that. I think the images that society puts out there for women in particular are part of the problem. And I think what you're saying is so important, Julian, because we have to redefine what sensuality is for us and what beauty is for us. Because there's so I think they've scaled it back a bit now, but I've heard podcasters, male and female, tell women if you're over 40, you can forget it in terms of being viewed as a sensual being or a sexual being. And if you have a round stomach, then that's an issue. So go get liposuction or go to the gym and exercise until you pass out. Men
Mm,
are not confronted with those images. Men can have a beer belly and look like they're 9 months pregnant and still feel good about who they are. They may feel a little self-conscious, but society doesn't put up pictures about them and their bodies and
mm,
how they should look at a certain age. Whereas for females, throughout the time we're on this planet, you have pictures of what is beautiful and what is accepted and what is sexy. Constantly we're bombarded with those kinds of images. So women unconsciously, I think, have accepted that. And I think it's now time for us to really redefine what.
But why I was asking you, did you have a role model? Because I remember my mother would walk around naked, but
Mhm.
then she'd see a mirror and she'd pull in her tummy and tuck in her butt. And that was one of the things that I was taught. It's like, stand up straight, tucking your butt and pulling your tummy. And I was like, yeah, so for years, that's what I was like tightly, learning to do. And I remember being over at a friend's house when I was, I don't know, 6 or so, and his mother walked around naked, and then we were in a bath together. He and I were tiny, and she was there naked, giving us a bath, and really natural about it. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, here's a physiotherapist who actually teaches us about standing up, who's like completely open about it. And just to see the difference between these two women, same era,
Mhm.
but really, it's like, where has society taught us certain things? And then you go to South Africa, where very like voluptuous women are very in, and that's very beautiful. So it's the beauty is in that every country it's slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different religions and different how you've been brought up. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say one of the ways to start talking to your partner about it, or start talking even to your friends, it's like, hey, tell me what do you love about your body? And most people are like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's like, no,
Yeah.
we're flipping the coin. Tell me what you love about your body.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful. Yeah. Because I've had to caution women who are friends when I say, "Oh, that's a nice outfit that you have on." And see, I feel very comfortable complimenting men whom I adore and complimenting women whom I see as an extension of myself. I don't have an issue with complimenting either either sex. Just in terms of if something looks nice on you and you're a male, yeah, I'm gonna let you know. Or if it looks nice on you, you're female, I'm going to let you know. But I think with um, women whom I've complimented sometimes who have been clients of mine or just friends. I'm saying, that looks really nice on you. Rather than accepting that, but I have cellulite over here and I have this roll over here and whatever, because we've been programmed that you have to have the perfect body, which does not exist. And so,
Yeah, or it'd be like, oh, this little thing, I get it at
yeah,
Target for $10. And it's like,
yeah,
have we learned how to receive? If you can't
yes, that's it. That's it.
compliments, then
That's
how
it.
how the heck are you going to receive touch or love or anything?
That's
Just
it.
yes, thank you. Yeah, it's uncomfortable at first. It's saying thank you,
Yeah, yeah,
not immediately giving something back. That's
yeah.
why I created my cards, because that is really like the prompts that I'm saying. You tell me what you love about your body, then someone answers saying, "Oh, I love my eyes," then what you should answer is just thank you. Not like, oh, I like your eyes too, but no, it's like, no, thank you. Because
Yeah,
then we actually learned, like, oh, we can receive a communication without having to agree with it. We might not even like it, but we can receive what you're saying. And then we
I
can
like that.
back again. And that's what creates that safety,
Yeah.
back to the touch base. But this is also what creates that connection then with your partners. Like, tell me what you love about my body.
Mm-hmm. I really like that. I really like that because I know as people age, men, I've not heard of men doing this or seeing this myself. Women tend to want to turn the light off when they're becoming intimate because they don't want their bodies to be seen because of these things, these imperfections that they have in their minds about their bodies. And that's a common issue. They're like, I'll turn the light off so he can't see the rolls or whatever. As
But
opposed,
do you see how much in their heads they are?
yes,
Turning the light off so that he can't see, not because I don't feel pleasure when I'm in my head and I'm thinking these thoughts about him possibly seeing me and it turns me off. It's like, no, he can't see, so he can have pleasure.
yes,
Instead of like, oh, actually, what turns me on is making sure that the bedroom is tidy, that we've maybe kissed a little while, there might be some nice candles, or maybe we've done a bit of a massage, and my body feels relaxed. At
yes.
this point, he couldn't care if you've got like hairy legs and wobbly bits left, right, and center, because he's like, my woman is enjoying this, so I'm
Mhm.
enjoying it. We forget that men want us to feel pleasure. It's not just wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It's actually men do like it, but they can't understand what we want if we don't tell them.
Very true. That's very true. And I think sometimes because women, we're verbal, but we're also nonverbal and more intuitive. But I've had male clients and men, in my life who say, you have to tell me. And we're like, but that should be understood. You should know that. They don't communicate like that. You have to physically tell them. And then when I say really are in sync with you, they can then probably
And the
know.
problem is that we haven't been taught this. So
Yeah.
I teach this workshop and I always use a little tea station. So I get couples to make each other tea and they're like, we know how they like our tea. Yeah. And then plus I'm in England, right? So everyone drinks tea. So I had this celebrity couple at home and I was teaching them certain things and their film crew was there. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get you to make her a cup of tea. So,
Hmm.
so put all the different teas out, all the different milks out, all the different sugars and sweeteners and agave and honey and whatever, and the different teacups. And it was like, he's like, I know how she likes her tea. I'm like, great. So I want you to just put this aside. So I turned to her, I said, so now I would like you to instruct your partner exactly how you want your tea. Doesn't matter that he's done it 5,000 times before. Tell him,
Hmm.
what kind of cup would you like? What kind of tea is it? Is it a herbal tea? Is it this, that? Is it boiling water? Is it a little bit of lukewarm? Do you want a splash of milk with it before or after, lemon, etc., etc.? So she was, at first it was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, so I gave instructions to him. And he's like, wow, you're precise. I'm like, yeah.
Hmm.
And then I had, so then she's at the same. She said, yes, I want to have the white teacup, and I want you to give me some chamomile tea with 1 teaspoon of honey.
Hmm.
Just drop the honey in, but don't stir it with the teaspoon. So leave the teaspoon in the cup. So I then had him repeat it back, yeah, so that he could understand. So because people listen, but we don't always understand. We might hear, but we don't listen to understand. So to make sure that like the waiter does, they tell you back what you'd order, and then to go and make it, and then for her to receive it. So
Hmm.
immediately she's just like, "Oh, thank you." I'm like, thank you, great. Now, little shit sandwich, drink it. Is that exactly how you want it? It's like, oh no, the spoon is out. He stirred it. It's there's too much lemon in it. I'm like, great. Now, normally, what would you do? And it's like, oh, I'd just be grateful that he made me a cup of tea. I'm like, great. So, shit sandwich says, thank you. Love that you made me a tea. Adjust them to what you need. It's like, I'd like you to go back and make me a new cup of tea and do it exactly. And then thank you again. So thank you thing in the middle, that's not so good. And then thank you in the end again. So off he goes. 3 times it took him to actually make it the proper tea. And they came away from that and they were like, wow, you have us do this with a cup of tea so that I can then ask him how to touch me later in the bedroom. Like, yeah, that precise. And also because with a cup of tea, he notices it's not about his manhood. It's just about,
Right.
has he listened to her? Has she explained it properly? Yeah, for both of us, it all of a sudden it's like, oh, have you actually given proper instructions? Has he understood? Have you adjusted? Have you said, oh, can you go to the left a little bit more? Yeah, can you
Hmm.
stop? Can you pause a minute? Can we take a breath? Can we kiss for a moment? This is going a little bit too fast. But
Hmm.
all because of doing a little cup of tea, they were then able to take it into the bedroom.
That is so powerful. We're running out of time. Um, Beloved, what I would like for us to do now is to pause and give people your social media handles so that they can know how to get in touch with you. I know you're based in the UK, so the people in the States can get in touch with you verbally. So give them all of the
Absolutely.
information. Give them all
Yeah, so
the
my website is
information. Mm-hmm.
my company is called, or my brand's called feelfullyu.com. Feelfullyu.com. My Instagram and my Facebook and TikTok are all Juliette. It's French spelling, so Juliette double T, Karaman, Karaman. And I think it's the same on LinkedIn. So it's across all those platforms. And of course, my podcast is called The Scrumptious Woman. on Spotify, on Apple, on all the usual platforms. So you can get in touch through any of these. Feel Fully You, Juliette Karaman, or the Scrumptious Woman.
Oh. And so you do counseling for people to get into like some somatic therapy and those kinds of things for people to really get in touch with themselves.
Yes, I run retreats. At the moment, I've paused a lot of my group programs. I have a lot of beautiful courses that are ready to go. There are a lot of freebies. There's the touch-based freebies, so you actually learn how to connect to yourself, how to feel safe again. I've got lots of things on grief because I've been very intimate with grief. So there are lots of ways to start. And then from there on, we can either go into a group thing, or I do one-to-ones as well.
Wow, this is powerful. So in closing, if you can give our audience in 1 minute or less a parting statement about your wonderful, wonderful workshops and information. I was just impressed and mesmerized with all the offerings that you have and the way that you put it forth in such a non-threatening, simplistic way for people to take hold of and to grasp it and to internalize it. So what would you leave with our audience?
I would say really start writing a list of start first with yourself, right? Always start with yourself and go on my website. I've got lots of little freebies where I take you in through like different kinds of touch with just you touch your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then start recognizing where you may actually be freezing a little bit or your body isn't responding. And don't try to force it. But like, what is the one thing? Do your touch base. Get back into your breath.
Mm.
What's the one thing? Can you just make it 1% more pleasurable? Can you sway your hips a little bit? Maybe you can just smile, get the tension out of your your jaws. Maybe do some like little things with your lips. But recognize that this body wants to move a little bit and wants to feel. There you go. You did it. A little shimmy with your shoulders. And like if you have the t-shirts, feel them and smell them. And
Yeah.
next time when you put perfume on, yeah, smell your wrist, put your wrist on it as well and smell it. And actually just take the time, take 20 seconds to feel
Mm-hmm.
it. When you feel this, when you go step outside, I have lavender right outside my door when I open the kitchen, and every morning when I let the dogs out, I'm like, oh, and I really let it touch me and how that smell lands
Mm-hmm.
because I take the time for it.
Well, I am so honored and thrilled that you took the time to be with us today. She's amazing. Get in touch with Juliette Karaman as soon as possible, and you will be extremely pleased. Let's take this to the next level, 50 plus people. We are not over the hill. We are not uh, elderly. We're none of those things. And we still have life within us. So let's explore our sensuality more, our sexuality more. And she's that perfect person to contact. I'm just so honored and thrilled that she agreed to be our guest today. So get in touch with Juliette as soon as possible to transform your life, and your connection with touch. So thank you so much, beloved. We appreciate you. And for the rest of you, don't forget to join us every week for Great Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and thank you. And until next time, beloveds, be safe and be in touch, literally and figuratively, with your body. Namaste, and subscribe, and tell others about Great Lives on the Rise. Okay? Thank you. We're so pleased. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Great Lives on the Rise. being brought to you by Jamila Scents, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Scents is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Great Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.